Hi friends. I was flustered, trying to set the self-timer on my phone with soapy hands so that I might nail take 48 of The Renegade so that I could post it on TikTok. In week, God knows what, please don't tell me we are still counting of self-isolation, I started learning TikTok dances as a way to create little islands of respite between panic attacks. First, I turned some of the dance moves in every 15-second routine into hand-washing motions to signal that this was an ironic thing that I was doing to promote good hand hygiene. I quickly abandoned that pretense and just sincerely posted dances as something to break up the day between feebly responding to emails or staring at the walls. It was the only thing I could gather any sort of motivation to do for weeks, just creaking across the splayed-out old floorboards in my apartment trying to throw it back. But yeah, I felt guilty about it. It seemed like the wrong response for the times. I read a handful of essays, including one by Heather Havrilesky that I'm going to link below, about how our quarantine hobbies are just a form of denial. Because we've over decades become an unserious culture that refuses to acknowledge death and human suffering because it would make it harder for us to enjoy our Zoom yoga classes. So I wondered why I had picked, in the middle of a global pandemic, the most useless, self-serving, maladaptive habit of doing little cheerleader arms choreography among a bunch of 15-year-olds. Why this? What are you seeing, brain, that I don't see? Like, I want to be taking this more seriously. I think in a lot of ways, Heather is right, if there is such a thing as being right now. We do have to come to grips with mortality and the fact that while some of us are at worst cozy and bored, there is no normal life we can return to, because for so many people, teetering just on the edge of survival has been normal for a long time, even if we don't want to see it. I know that people will die from COVID-19 and from poverty and from our failures to protect each other. I also know from the decade of therapy I've been lucky to have access to that a symptom of anxiety, and to a greater extent PTSD, is hypervigilance, a state of always being on full body alert for oncoming disaster. And as you can imagine, if you're always tensed up waiting for the worst, you can't really do much of anything to care for yourself and others in the meantime. Now, in therapy, they teach you to challenge your anxious thoughts and reframe them in the context of reality, because usually what you're anxious about isn't real. That gets dicey when your worst fear is reality. The reframing skill doesn't work so well right now.
Turn me up some more.
So Partners in Health, a global health organization experienced in fighting outbreaks of infectious disease, has released a list of mental health practices that do serve us well during a pandemic. And it includes things like continuing to do things you enjoy and choosing small windows of time to spend with the news rather than doom scrolling all day, and engaging in focused relaxation and meditation. Now, I'm not good at meditation, especially when every few minutes the silence is cut through with ambulance sirens. I've even tried the guided kind, but they'd be like, picture yourself in a garden. And I'm like, is this an intrusive thought farm? I just can't do meditation in a traditional sense. But do you know what does help me tune out my thought spirals and be present inside of my body? Learning choreography. Not to be all shitposting as praxis, but I noticed that the times that I would open my phone to learn a TikTok dance were when I needed just something that required just enough focus to put myself back in my body after too many tabs of the Gothamist comment section carried me a million miles down the doom tunnel in a way that also makes it impossible for me to face reality. They are what helped me, in the words of the prophetic 2013 Manchester Orchestra album, cope. Honestly, coping is a lot of what I see on TikTok anyway. It's part escapism, part a generation acknowledging the garbage hand they've been dealt in the form of COVID-19, climate change, crushing student debt, persistent racial inequality, and a healthcare system that puts people in poverty. I don't see a lot of denial about that. Whew, buddy, they know it, and they're processing it in the form of spicy socialist memes. The kids are all right, really. They're proof enough that we can both take the state of the world extremely seriously and swing our hips around a little, because we've got to find some way to feel human if we want to get through this. There can be no solutions without, in the words of the prophetic 2014 Manchester Orchestra acoustic re-release, hope. So tell me in comments, what's giving you hope right now? Also, if you've got live stream links, if you've got projects we can support, if you've got GoFundMes, keep posting them so that we can show up for you like you have shown up for me. Thank you, be safe, and I will see you soon. Bye.
Whatever you're doing with your Corona choreo TikToks is entertaining a lot of people. Your friends think that they are awesome and your friends really love and miss you.